My name is Tatjana Takseva, and I'm a professor in the Department of English Language and Literature and the Women and Gender Studies program at St. Mary's University in Halifax. My research topics have been interdisciplinary for over a decade, even though I was trained as a humanities scholar and my home department is the English department. From the very beginning, I think what I've noticed is that this type of training, which was really a training in textual analysis and what in the social sciences then is called critical content analysis, really equipped me with the tools and strategies that I needed to look at how people construct reality, essentially through language. And so then in 2009, when I was pregnant with my third child, I was asked by a local women's shelter, Brioni House, to talk about the war in the Balkans, specifically to talk about the impact of rape as a systematic weapon of war that was used in Bosnia. So the impact of sexual violence on women. And so it was a juncture. I'm mentioning this because it was a juncture in my professional as well as personal life, because I noticed confluences between, my own experience of motherhood for the third time in relation to stories that I had been following about the Balkan War for a period of time. And that kind of determined the course of my research subsequently. Which started with this focus on sexual violence and the gender dimension of that.
So you recently gave an interview to Ania Polma for a Polish daily newspaper. Can you please talk about the content of the article and how that came to be?
So Ania contacted me because she had come across my co-edited collection of essays and articles on mothers and motherhood in conflict areas. And I think her main purpose in contacting me was to sort of get me to talk about what are the types of needs and supports that women who are coming from the Ukraine. This is happening during the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. So this was the occasion for her contacting me. What are the types of services, supports, and what are the issues that the women, refugees from the Ukraine, many of whom are coming from there with children and who are primary caregivers for those children, what might they need once they arrive as refugees in a different country? And so a lot of the questions in the interview focused on what are some of the issues, for example, for women who will have experienced sexual violence as a result of a armed conflict situation, which is the case. There is a greater number of stories that are coming out now that are indicating that the women of the Ukraine who are leaving, some of whom are leaving, may have in fact experienced sexual violence. And so what were the implications of this, and what are the types of supports that they might need in the short term and in the long term? What are some of the issues that are affecting them? And what might be important for another host country like Poland, in this case, to assume or not assume about the cultural context that the women are bringing with them when they arrive. Well, I think for me was it allowed me to kind of bring together some strands of my research that bear on a contemporary topic, but I think actually this is the relevance of the interview itself, I'm assuming, for Polish audiences in itself, because, as I said, a recent report from the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights documents instances of sexual violence committed by Russian armed forces. And so it is important to understand that a great number of refugees, in this case Ukrainian, but all refugees, are often women and children. And so the way in which the host country receives them and the types of supports that are then developed or put in place to help them are very significant. And I think this has implications for Canada as well, being a host country. We actually took in a number of refugees from the Ukraine as well. And we have had that history, not just with the Ukraine, but with other populations coming from war-affected areas. So in that sense, it was the significance, I think, is contemporary, in the sense that it speaks to a situation that is unfolding. But at the same time, I hope that I would convey through that conversation that unfortunately this is a repeated historical situation that we don't seem to be able to learn or understand from the past, and that women's bodies are often very much the bodies across which wars happen.